Hey guys, welcome to Raw Customs. I'm your host, Patrick Rapolo, and we're back on the tactical armor. Now, if you haven't been following me, I've been working on a universal tactical armor that's designed for you to make minor modifications to paint up in different ways, add different symbols to create the character that you're wanting to create, whether it be something like a Batman or Robin or something of your own design. This episode, we're going to be covering how to put together the tactical thigh armor. Now, part of the design on this is some tabs at the bottom here and a flare towards the center area to allow you to put some straps to help you hold it to your leg. Now, the way I designed this is, of course, to still be universal and give you a few options. The tabs I did design to be at the bottom of it, but the center portion here, I did design where you can flip it either way. So there's no up or down, it's just up to you. So in this case, I have the little triangle pieces towards the top and the big area towards the bottom. But I did design it with, again, the tabs are at the bottom and this is flipped over. So you can see there's a little bit of difference there to give you a different look. Now the kit comes with your pieces cut out, ready for you to get started working on. Now it does just come with the foam pieces. However, you do get the pieces for two of them, so you do have a left and a right. You do get a pair, guys. Now, as far as the strapping, I went with a 3/4 inch elastic here, and I picked up some buckles at Hobby Lobby. They're in the paracord section. They actually do say paracord buckles. Now these are 1/2 inch buckles. And of course, this is a 3/4 inch. It's okay, it'll squeeze through there and actually holds a little bit tighter because it's a little bit larger than the buckle itself. Now the thigh armor can be worn towards the front of the leg, twisted a little bit over, or even completely to the side. Now if you're gonna run it to the side, you could actually lift this up more to the top of the hip. It just depends on the application that you need for your costume. And just to give you guys another idea, I'm not completely finished with these. One of the plans I'm having is to take a little bit more elastic and run it at an angle from the top up to a belt. Now I have two of those, one on each end, once I finish the application of these. But it's something to be thinking about and something that will help hold these in place on your costume as you walk around or film videos or whatever your plans are for your costume. So like I said, I have kits as well as some templates. If you're interested in either one of those, head down to the description area below. You'll find some links there. Now, as far as the kits, I do have 3 sizes. The large is 12 inches tall, as well as 12 inches from the end of each flare, or from flare to flare. The medium will be 10 inches tall, 10 inches wide, and the small will be 8 inches by 8 inches. So the best way to figure out which size works for you is just to measure your thigh and figure out which is going to be best for your application. If you'd like to see some more of what I'm working on, stick around to the end of the video. But for now, let's get to the build. For this build, you'll need the kit or the templates. If you go with the templates, you'll need 3 sheets of 5mm foam, 12 by 18 inch sheets, some contact cement, PLASTI dip, spray paint, some elastic, buckles, a rotary tool, a heat gun, glue gun, some scissors, and a razor knife. The kit comes with your bottom base sections, a center section, and 2 pieces for the top overlay. On the center section, I'm going to do a half bevel all the way around the outside edge. I recommend using a rotary tool with a grinding stone to do this. A half bevel is a bevel half the thickness of the foam. And on all these parts, I'm trying to make around a 45-degree bevel. Beveling the edges on all your pieces isn't necessary. You could round over the edges or even leave them as they are. Since it's not necessary for construction, the bevel's just for looks. On the 2 top overlay pieces, I beveled the outside edges as well. To glue your pieces together, I recommend using contact cement. On the center section, apply glue to the top surface area, inside the reference lines for your smaller piece, and to the bottom surface area of the small overlay. Allow time for your glue to set up. This generally takes around 5 minutes. You'll know the glue's ready once the shine is gone. Once your glue is set, you can glue the top overlay in place following your reference lines. I recommend lightly pressing down the piece along the edges as you lay it down, and once everything's lined up, firmly press the pieces together. Next, apply glue to the top area of the centerpiece, inside the reference lines for the large overlay, and to the bottom surface area of the top overlay. To glue the top section in place, I recommend giving it a small bow, and starting at the end with the two triangles that are side by side. Line up the top section with your reference lines and let it slowly lay down. Again, I recommend using a light touch while you keep everything lined up as you lay it down. Once you have the section lined up, you can firmly press it together. On the base section, you have side and bottom tabs for strapping. The center section is designed to give you the option of which end you would like to face up. There's no wrong choice here, it's just what works for your application. Once you've made your choice, line the top section up with the reference lines and flip your piece over. And trace a reference line onto the center section along the bottom inside edge. Then apply glue to the center section along your reference lines you marked, and to the bottom piece on the inside of the reference lines. Once the glue is set, you can press your pieces together, working your way from one end to the other. Next, use a heat gun to heat your piece. Start by heating the back, then flip it over and heat the front. This is a large piece with multiple sections, so you're going to want to get the foam pretty warm. Once the foam's heated, you'll want to form it over something round like a big jar. You're wanting to bow it or give it a nice curve along its length. While you're doing this, make sure to watch your edges. Since you've heated the piece, the glue could reactivate and some edges could come loose. If this happens, just press the pieces back together. You may need to reheat the piece a couple of times to get the curve that you're looking for. At this point, I recommend seeing how it fits and making sure it wraps your leg well. If it doesn't fit right, you can always reheat it and form it a little bit more. To hold the bow and to give you something to mount your piece with when you paint it, I recommend hot gluing a couple of popsicle sticks in on each end. To seal your foam, I recommend using PLASTI dip.
I like to use 2 light coats followed by 2 heavy coats. Once the PLASTI dip's dry, you can apply your paint. I like to use 2 light coats followed by 1 to 2 heavy coats. Once your base coat's dry, you can do your detail paint. I like to use an airbrush to do this most of the time, but you could also use sponge brushes, paint brushes, or whatever works for you. You could also tape off the piece and use spray paint to paint on other colors. To finish off the paint, I like to use 2 coats of clear. Once the paint's dry, you can cut out your support sticks. The kit does not come with any strapping or buckles, so you'll need to pick up whatever you want to use. I recommend using 3/4 inch elastic and buckles with a 1/2 inch opening on each end. Start by running the elastic through one side of the buckle. Pull through around 1 inch of the elastic. Line the elastic up at the bottom tab of your thigh armor on the back side and figure out the length for the elastic, and then cut it to size. Next, run the elastic through the other side of the buckle. Next, put the thigh armor in place on your leg. Hold the strap in place on your bottom tabs and wrap it around your leg. Pull the elastic until you have a little tension on your leg. Once you have your length, hold the elastic at the position that you'll cut off. Then pull off the elastic and cut off the extra. You can use contact cement to glue the strap together at the buckle. I recommend using 2 coats of glue on the straps. Once the glue's set, you can press your ends together. On the back side of the armor, line your straps up in place and then trace a reference line around them. Apply glue to the end of your straps and to your marked areas. I recommend using 2 coats of glue on the straps. Once the glue is dry, you can press your straps in place. If you're like me and you'd like to add just a little bit more strength to the end of the straps, you can take some scrap foam, it doesn't matter what thickness, and lay it on top of the strap and trace it out where it will overlap the sides and the back of the strap. Then cut the shape out and lay it back in place and trace reference lines. Then apply glue to both pieces. Once the glue is set, you can press the piece in place, sandwiching the strap.
Alright guys, there you go, the tactical thigh armor. Just one more piece or one more link in the chain to getting that tactical full armor done. Now speaking of the tactical armor, the next piece I'm working on for the armor is the shin armor. So you can have a look at this so far. I'm planning on making a few changes to this before I put it out for you guys, but the basic idea or design will be based on this model here. Now, speaking of the universal tactical armor, my big idea, which I do have ideas, guys, but my big one is to have multiple armors. So I'd have the tactical armor, then a set of hero armor, a set of villain armor, and a set of sci-fi armor, and so on and so forth, depending on what comes out of this brain of mine. Anyways, the main idea behind it is to give you the ability to mix and match the pieces. So you'd have maybe the tactical chest armor and possibly the sci-fi gauntlets and maybe the hero leg armor all put together to fit the design that you're working on. So the next armor that I'm kind of already starting to work on is a set of sci-fi armor. So I've come up with my first piece, which would be the sci-fi gauntlet here, guys. So this is my first build on this, and this is how it turned out. Pretty happy with it so far. Gonna make a couple of small tweaks to it, but overall I am pretty happy with the way this turns out and the way this is looking. Part of the reason I'm gonna go with the sci-fi is because if you've heard me talk before, I want to make short films, and that's why I got into making props. So my idea right now is to have like a Tron setting, because I really like Tron, but pulling in other characters into that, a few of my own design, and making things glow. So this is going to be part of one of the characters' armor that I'm working on, and I'm planning on putting some pieces in here and having this actually glow when it's in the video itself. So speaking of Tron, I'm actually working on some identity discs here. These are a couple that I come up with so far, and I will be putting these out as kits once I get all the bugs worked out of them. Right now, I don't like, if you can see, I'm kind of getting some dent-ins on these right here, and I'm wanting it to be actually nice and smooth. I've got it pretty close to getting rid of those, but you can still see a little bit of those, so I want to get rid of that before I put them out as a kit at least. Now, the reason I have these painted up with blue and red edges is because I'm not planning on making these glow. This is for a prop, so I'll be able to green screen or key this out and put a glow in. And that's my idea for myself for these guys. Now, along with everything else I'm working on, I am working on the Iron Man armor, and my goal is to have this 100% done this year, guys. I put it off, but I'm back on it, and I'm actually doing a full redesign from the original stuff that I started with. So at this point, I've actually redesigned the ab area here. I'm redesigning the codpiece area. I've almost got all the bugs worked out of that. I think one more build on that and I'll have it finished. I've also started working on the leg area here, so the top piece. So this is my first build. You can see I had a little bit of problems matching this up, but I've already made the fix on that. So one more of these, and I think it'll be right where I want it. But you can see how that's starting to come out so far. And then of course I have, this is an old one, so I'm gotta pull it out so I can look at it, so I can start figuring out the pieces that I need to correct to get this this built finished and get it on the suit. And to show you guys why I'm doing a redesign, this is my original one I started out with. I was trying to get away with not beveling edges, and it was before I got pretty good at it. So I was trying to round stuff out, but you can see how things were folding in on it, and it was tucking in and just wasn't looking good. So that's part of the reason I'm doing a redesign. And you can see going from this one, the way this one looks compared to that, I think this is a much better look than this one here. So I think it'd be worth the wait that I went ahead and stepped aside, developed skills a little bit more, and then got back on it, because I'm going to have a much better looking finished project when I'm done. Well, all right, guys, that's it for this episode. God bless you. I'll see you on the next one.